This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Step by step, layer by layer, each part of the process builds upon the former. You can't rush the process. Valeria Teles interviews Casey Rossi, a business and certified mindset coach, certified aromatherapist, mind-body coach, and NLP practitioner. Casey Rossi is a business and certified mindset coach who helps female solopreneurs in helping healing fields grow and scale their online business. Her integrated approach honors mind, emotions, and heart, so it's not only a joyful journey, but one that is also sustainable. She believes and teaches a sales as service philosophy and shows women how they can be spiritual and profitable at the same time. Before starting her coaching business, Casey was a serial entrepreneur building over 10 different companies, one being manufacturing confections that she ran for 17 years, hitting over 7 figures annually. She learned the ins and outs of business by doing and creating something from nothing. Casey is also a certified aromatherapist, mind-body coach, and NLP practitioner, which allows her to bring a holistic approach to her coaching. She offers personalized one-on-one business coaching, as well as an online business building course called Thrive Business Thrive. When she's offline, you can find her enjoying her organic garden, walking through the great vineyards in the Naples Valley, in upstate New York, or 30 feet under scuba diving in blue waters. Meet Casey at kcrossi.com. Here is the interview with Casey Rossi.
In your own words, who is Casey Rossi?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So Casey Rossi currently is a business and leadership coach, and I connect with women. I help them really connect with their own intuition, their zone of genius, and really what's going to light them up, something that they're going to have a lot of passion and enthusiasm towards, that they can then spread their message and continue the positive ripple effect into the world.
So I guess my first official question is about purpose. What do you think is the purpose of the human experience, and how do we learn, or how do we uncover our own purpose in life?
Such a beautiful question. I love that. I really think that our soul purpose is to connect with our oversoul, to really know ourselves as soul, and to really see our part in the world for something that's on a much larger scale, not something that's just surface, that is just self-centered or more contained and focused just on our physical body, but really looks at ourselves in a holistic way and also is connected to a purpose of service and helping other people. So I think we're here not by happenstance, and we have many lessons, and I feel like it's our opportunity in this human body at the highest run of evolution to really know ourselves as soul and to really uncover all of the dross and dirt that's kind of dampened and darkened who we really are. And It's our opportunity to shine.
And speaking of soul, that brings me to the topic of spirituality. What is spirituality to you, and what is to be spiritual?
Spirituality to me is really of the highest purpose. It's what fuels me. It fuels me to do the work that I do, even though it is through the lens of business. I feel that it is an amazing opportunity to know ourselves personally and spiritually. There's nowhere to hide. It's
Right.
me, myself, and I, right?
Yeah.
And like all of the shadow pieces are illuminated, and it gives us an opportunity to dig deep and really look at both sides of the coin and accept ourselves. And so I think spirituality is all about that recognition. It's about self-compassion and
Mhm.
self-trust. And then it's also about being connected to the higher purpose. Why are we here?
Yeah.
Why were we given these specific gifts? Why are we connecting with these specific people? And really understanding that there is a master plan.
Mhm.
And I heard this one thing that kind of stuck with me for years. And it was that even though we may be going through life and it feels very twisty and curvy and uncomfortable, that's almost like the underside of an oriental rug where there's all
Uh-huh.
these threads and loose ends and it's not looking that pretty. But having the faith and trust that when you flip it over, and this really applies to our life as well, that there is divine beauty that's happening specifically for your soul imprint, and that
Mhm.
everything has a reason, and all those intersections were really put to serve you, to help you grow, and to make a master plan very specific to your soul and your growth.
And you make me wonder how you came across these powerful and deep insights and understandings about yourself and life.
I've always had a very curious mind. I never really accepted social norms and rules. Yeah, so from a very young age, just very curious, very wanting to discover and learn on my own terms, not just be force fed with something that is supposed to be or social norms.
Right.
And I became vegetarian at 13 in a very kind of strict Catholic family that was like total meat eaters. And so I
Yeah.
really learned from like a very young age, like what it feels like to go
Mm,
against the grain and to
right.
wonder and to question.
Wow.
And so I got really interested in Eastern religion, metaphysical things, alternative medicine, complementary modalities. And it just really caused me to go deep into mystic poetry and be very open and wondering like what else, and really wondering and asking those questions. Why are we here? Like what is
Right.
this truly all about? Where are we going? What is this all for? And that really led me to a spiritual path. And from that point I began to meditate every day. And so that's been something that's a daily part of my being. I don't know who I would be without that. So for 30 years, I've meditated every day. And I think that that's where a lot of the insight and continued curiosity and quest for knowledge, connection, and the big answers have come in my life.
And I wonder also why it's so challenging for us to come to this courageous space or idea of being, questioning, and try not to follow, fit in, this idea of fitting in. So would you say that for women, it's more challenging than for men?
I have more experience working with women and seeing the challenges, the pitfalls, and really seeing kind of the gap.
Yeah.
One of the things that I will say that specifically to your question, there's a lack of confidence in general
Mm,
for the gender of women, and I think that
right.
that element, whether it's from ancestral or collective consciousness or just our global paradigms, we see that like men just have this, and of course it's a generalistic,
Yeah. Yeah.
term here, but there's a sense of confidence and there's a sense of like maybe a knowingness, or maybe that is a part of the paradigm that we've all bought into, is that there is that sense and maybe less vulnerability. So I'm
Yeah.
always again
Mm,
like, let's explore that. Let's not just take that in. Of course, there's connotations for a reason, but I do like to look at people more on a soul to soul level. And
right.
the outer vesture really, it has no meaning. It really doesn't have anything to do with our soul purpose and why we're here. But I do think that through cultured conditioning, as women, there are a few more different pathways to navigate and one being, that confidence piece, that self-worthiness piece, and kind of more of the shoulds. What are the social norms? What are the expectations for women?
Also, you speak of ancestry and our ancestors. So that's another influence we have.
Absolutely.
Right. That cannot be ignored. Do you ever use the word God?
I do. And it's something that I feel like I've been a little bit more fluid with of late. And I think that it was in my earlier career that was something that I think I kept more private. I really had more of a black and white 9 to 5 lifestyle. And as I've continued to do the work and crack those shells, right? And we're always a work in progress. There's never that perfection. I've realized that I do have a deep desire for integration and for bringing that in and together and being really bold and okay with talking about that. And I really have to say, Valeria, that that came through practice, because I also have a podcast, and I ended up connecting with women that were deep in their spirituality, and they were unafraid and unashamed and unapologetic. And I was always in awe of them. And I was just so inspired by their voice and being bold enough to have a platform to talk about things like the universe, soul, spirituality, God, and all of those wonderful things that, as much as I enjoyed it, I really was like, oh, I'm not sure if that's that professional. And people really just want strategy, and they want to learn how to make money. And they're more interested in my past of like when I hit 7 figures, when I had my chocolate company. And, and so I think these are the stories that we tell ourselves. And what I'm finding and what I found over the last couple of years is the opposite is actually true, that people are really thirsty for authenticity and for these conversations that feel elusive. And they're so thrilled to be able to connect with people who speak their language. And it's really cool. It's kind of been this whole like mind burst of like, whoa, I could have been living this integrated lifestyle for the last like 30 years of my career. Why did it take me so long?
Tell me about it. Yes, so true. And that I think about intuition, because it seems like we know these truths, that we can do certain things. That's what we love to do. That's what we are here to do. But we choose not to listen to that voice. And I haven't for 37 years. I have been suppressing that voice. So talk to me for a moment about the importance of trusting our intuition.
I think that's the magic right there. I think that's the message that I would love to impress on all of your listeners, is to lean into that self-trust. And when you take that time to build the confidence muscle of intuition, your whole life can truly shift, because you're no longer looking outside of yourself for the answer, for the way, for the direction. You're able to allow getting influenced by quote unquote experts or people who you feel are superior to you. You're able to just let that resolve and dissolve and truly understand that all the answers that you're looking for are inside of you. And that when you learn to cultivate that intuition and turn within with those kind of big listening ears, things smooth out, right? Like your decisions become crystal clear. They're faster. There is a sense of fluidity instead of resistance, like you're going against the grain. And I think that ties into also the understanding and the deep belief that the universe does have your back, that everything is happening for a reason. They're not just like trendy quotes on a coffee cup, but it truly can be the way that you live, And I think it's like once you start tasting that and experiencing it, it doesn't feel so woo-woo or that works for them, but it doesn't work for me, or I wasn't born with that. I think there's a lot of those internal voices in the beginning, and a little fear, because it's a fear of the unknown. And there's also a tremendous amount of heroism, I think, that comes with that in the line of self-accountability and reliability, right? Because there isn't anywhere to blame, because you're really tuning within and becoming super reliable and leaning into that self-trust. And in that, you have to be super accountable for all of your decisions. And I think that takes a lot of personal growth in order to embody all of that, because it's work. It's not just like this easy thing.
Right.
It can be easier than we make it,
right.
but it also there's some terrain to traverse, right?
Yeah.
There's some trial and error. But I think that once you embrace it and then you realize, we have brain cells in our belly that gives us this beautiful, wise gut instinct. Listen to that. Tune into that. Do that before you go to do a Google search,
Right. True. I love your message. Thank you, Casey. It resonates true all the way in my being. Thank you. What are some of the main qualities of a true leader, if we can call it that?
Yeah, I think leadership first starts with self-leadership, walking our talk and really putting in all the theories into practice with that intention of self-mastery, whether you want to even go as far as saying enlightenment. It is truly beginning with yourself and putting those practices, even if it's small micro habits. And I don't even want to say even, because that seems like I'm minimizing it. I want to say especially those micro habits, those micro moments when no one's looking and it's just you making the decision to be honest and live in integrity, and then keep showing up and keep showing up. And also, I think the element of interconnectedness is really powerful when it comes to leadership. I think that with integrity and honesty, communication, and again, like that authentic, I'm intimately connected to this message of leadership because I walk the walk, because I'm empathetic of the potholes. Like that to me, like when I admire someone in a leadership role, it is truly the ones that are like in the trenches, in the field, like doing the work. It's the ones really with their hands dirty, like the soil under their fingers from doing the organic gardening,
True. True. And with that in mind, what are some people that come to mind when you think about true leadership?
That's a good question. So I would say that, right away, I think Oprah comes to mind because she has traversed adversity, and the consistency is extremely admirable. Like she is still going strong decade after decade. I think her positive ripple effect and her philanthropic nature is also super inspiring. Yeah, I think that that's a big one for me. When I see that somebody has overcome adversity and trailblazed their own path and then consistently has had longevity and impact. That's really exciting to me. I think Mel Robbins too comes to mind because she feels super fearless. And I in the beginning, when I had so much fear about going live and being seen and really kind of breaking away from a long-time business partnership relationship and moving more towards solopreneurship, she was really instrumental for me of just like, let's get out of our head, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's bust through, let's just go and do it. And that really helped because I think that many of us can stay in our head. And when we think about, comparison or who am I, and that unworthiness voice can come in. There's other people that may have a stronger message or a deeper voice to be heard. It's really nice to have somebody cut through the noise and just say, you know what, just do it. Press the big red go live button, just say yes, just jump into the action. So she comes to mind as well, because I think that as a leader, we have to take action. And we have to be the ones that are willing to go first and have the moxie and courage to fail and get up and try again and rise.
Interestingly, when you say the word consistency as a quality of a leader, that makes me think about a question. So what does it say really? What this quality says about a person, about us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think consistency is actually this layer that's often overlooked because it's unsexy, and it is the key that unlocks it all, right? It is truly the key that unlocks it all, because when we look at things that are successful in our own life and in other people that we admire, they are small actions that are done repeatedly over time that typically has built this beautiful, strong foundation. And then if you can imagine this wise oak tree with a massive amount of reach and branches, like that just continues to flourish and give and flourish and give. But it started, just behind the scenes, buried under dark soil with conditions that maybe felt heavy.
Right.
And through just consistency and nurturing and doing the work and showing up, something really beautiful grows and continues to share and give and have this positive ripple effect. So those consistent actions that we do, again, like it is almost like the beauty in the mundane.
Right.
What does it look like when I'm off? What does it look like behind closed doors? What are my habits like? What am I doing to be tapped into high vibes, to be clear, to be energetic? How am I living my virtues in action? Like, how are they not just, again, beautiful words on a whiteboard, but how am I embodying those virtues and showing up day after day, moment after moment? And I think that, a lot of people and Valeria in the beginning, because for the first 4 years, when I first started my entrepreneurial career, my business partner and I actually popcorned around to 9 different businesses before our 10th business took off.
Wow.
And what I learned about lack of consistency is if you don't have the patience to stick around long enough for something to take root and flourish, then you're not going to find sustainable success. And part of consistency is kind of leaning into micro habits, leaning into the mundane, and waking up, cultivating enthusiasm anyway. I think that's a key is, how do I still approach my life with a curious mind so it can be fun and that actually ignites joy? And I think that's one way that we can squash boredom, because I think a lot of times people feel consistency is just a playground for boredom.
Yeah.
But I think if you can crack the code for yourself to kind of be like, what next? And what's here now? And let's look under this rock. And here's another facet of this situation that maybe I've never seen before. We can actually make our own fun.
So yeah, for me has been gratitude. That really helps with the consistency in doing the same thing, which is not really the same thing, talking to different people and doing all the things that I do. So that kind of resonates. It might be the embodiment of our truth. So the commitment to that, because it takes commitment.
Yes.
You're right. It does
You're
take
right.
commitment. So success is another word that we use, and it seems like everyone's trying to get to that destination. So to you, what is success? What is to be successful? And what are some of the greatest misunderstandings about success?
Yeah, beautiful question. So I think a lot of the misunderstandings around success is, one, someone else gets to define it. 2, that there is a picture perfect kind of mirage of what success looks and feels like. And 3, that many times we even delete feelings altogether when we think of success and we focus on the metrics only and the zeros in our bank account. So I think those are kind of like the top 3 misconceptions that we can fool ourselves, and we can be chasing something that, one, the benchmark continuously moves. Like just when you think you're going to get there, it moves,
Right.
Because there's always somebody that's going to be having more than you, or like, a flashier lifestyle where you're thinking, wait, I think I wanted this, but now that I'm here, I should now chase after XYZ. And, after experiencing burnout, when I had my 7+ figure business, I realized very, very quickly that was absolutely not success for me. And it took some reconditioning to give myself permission to redefine what success was for me. So Valeria, for me, it's about integration. It's about really leaning into our work as worship and understanding like the interconnectedness and purpose in a way that like evokes joy.
Right.
So it's more about the feeling state, so much more about the feeling state than the metrics. And I feel like, I feel more like a millionaire now than I did years ago when I was making 7+ figures.
I love that, Casey. Thank you for that important message. The idea of defining what success is and also bringing this component of joy and cultivating that. I absolutely agree. And one more question for you. The warm-up question is one of those. Freedom. What is freedom to you? What is to be free from your perspective?
Yeah, I love that. So freedom is so huge. It's a big part of my values, and it's really about doing what I want, when I want, with who I want. And I know that David Wolf used to always say, like, without shame, without guilt, right? Like just with true joy, true joy and connection. So really kind of leaning more into I get to do these things and letting go of the got to. So really just giving ourselves permission to release any obligations and choose really mindfully what expands us, what lights us up. And that's people, places, things, food, what's going to give us that energy. Because if we don't have good health, we're not going to have freedom. And health is really two-pronged, like it's mental. It's actually more than two-pronged: mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. Like if we can holistically be healthy, we're going to experience more freedom. And I feel like that's another piece that's often overlooked. And I'm personally just getting over COVID, and I've never had more of a sense of gratitude for holistic health as I do right now. Like I still can't taste and smell. I don't quite have my energy. And even though I've had a daily gratitude practice, I have a completely clarified, more granular appreciation for holistic health.
Do you connect this idea of living holistically to the idea of finding balance?
Oh, absolutely. I think, again, it goes back to complementary modalities, that interconnectedness, the integration of all aspects of who we are. That's how we're going to feel more whole, feel more balanced, have a solid foundation that we can just kind of spring forth from. I think that if we have excess or deficiency in any arena, it's impossible to achieve balance.
Going back to the topic of COVID, are you taking the vaccine?
I'm not right now. And I'm going to take a pause and again, really try to listen to my inner wisdom.
Right.
First off, I definitely need to heal from the virus. And secondly, I'm kind of more on the watch and wait side. And I'm not a fan of the ingredient label, to be quite frank with you, from two of the three manufacturers. So there's just certain things that feel not in integrity or in alignment with my spiritual values. And so, I think I will kind of be more attentive to building my immunity in a natural, holistic way. And that goes right down whether we're looking at herbal supplements or whether we're looking at a healthy mindset and visualization, affirmation, law of attraction. Like it's all about where I want to put my focus.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because I feel the same way. My intuition says the same thing, not to take the vaccine. I don't know exactly why, and I have not done any research or read anything yet. But I have the same idea about this a belief system, which to me is a knowing, really, when I'm listening to my intuition. I'm just happy to hear that from you too. So it's a confirmation in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Valeria, it's so interesting because I think that at least in my circle, most of the people that I'm connected with are getting it, and they're really kind of not thrilled with my decision. And I think it again goes back to giving yourself permission to rely on yourself and to listen to that inner voice. So there are no regrets in our life. There's no regrets when we can truly lean into our heart wisdom and our gut intuition.
True. And then, going back to the idea as well of culture conditionings. Yeah, this is the beginning of a new one for sure.
Absolutely. And it's just hey, I'm not used to going against the grain, so it's okay.
Right. Tell me about it. I love that about you. Talk to me. We're almost at the end, and I have so many questions here, way too many. But talk to me for a moment about the soul print method.
Yeah, absolutely. So the soul print method is really my philosophy and my way of being that has just become this way of how I coach women leaders. I tend to attract a lot of healers. I work with a lot of
Yeah.
holistic practitioners, aromatherapists, clinical nurse specialists, and people that really do lean more into alternative medicine and complementary medicine. So one of the cool things about the soul print method is it really focuses on the individual holistically. It brings in the yin yang approach of taking into account our femininity when it comes to a sales as service approach, going with the flow, leaning into our intuition, self leadership, and our own accountability. So it has that beautiful interwoven aspect of both the feminine, and then on the flip of it, because we are in business to have sustainable profits, we also respect, acknowledge, and integrate the masculine pieces of business, the linear, the metrics, our KPIs, our strategy, our visibility. And to me, that's how we're going to get this wholeness. You talked about integration a
Yeah.
lot today,
Yeah.
and that's really what I look at. When I developed the soul print method, I wanted something to be very integrated, something that could feel sustainable, and something that gives each one of us permission to be exactly who we are and all the facets of who we are, and use that through the lens of business. And along the way, the beauty and the perk is that we get personal and spiritual development. So my goal really when I work with someone is to help them become better people, not just better business people.
Right. I love 1,000 times I can say that. Your purpose, your message, everything you say, everything you do is just so in alignment with what resonates with life itself to me, because it is about integration. It is about not pushing away anything, because sometimes we do, especially women for some reason. I did for many years, like, oh no, I can't sell. It's all about love and it's not about money. And that was limiting me in so many ways. So I love that message.
That money mindset is such a big deterrent. And I think it takes some chipping away, it takes some acknowledgement and shining the light. And then I love that you said it's about love, because if you look at love like sunshine,
Yeah.
the sunshine can come and warm all of those crusty paradigms and all of the
Mm.
shoulds. And
Mm.
when we keep putting ourselves out there and we keep basking in that kind of golden warmth, it will bring to surface what is already in there that's just been kind of covered and crusted over. And that's the beauty of transformation.
So I have a few more questions for you, the ending questions. Too many other questions here I can't ask you because of the time, but would you like to add anything before I ask you my final questions?
Oh, well, I would just like to say thank you so much for having me on your show. And I feel like there are no accidents. So, this supposed serendipity was really just our paths meant to cross. And I trust that whoever was supposed to be touched with our words and our conversation today, that they will hear exactly what they need to hear for continued momentum and inspiration.
What was the hardest lesson to learn about yourself and life as of today?
I think one of the hardest lessons was that I am enough, that I'm whole and complete, and that I don't need something outside of me to complete me or to have success or to use my voice or to increase my visibility. That really that I was, made in the image of God. I'm here for a reason. And if I can just lean into being that open channel and trust that all the connections that come about are truly for my growth, my destiny, my spiritual enlightenment, and we're all the same. Like each one of us has that drop of the great big ocean inside of us.
Yeah.
That's what's interconnecting us. That's what we see and connect with when we feel warmth and radiance, when we have this kinship. It's because like begets like, and we are really all a part of that great big divine ocean.
Yes, a billion times to that truth, too. And if you knew you would die soon, meaning leaving the body, would you make any change in your life or do anything in a different way?
Yeah, I think I would even continue to be more bold, show up in a bigger, bolder way, use my voice to have a stronger impact, and just continue to cultivate confidence.
And the last question is, what are three things about life you know for sure as of this moment?
Life is a gift. We are here for a much bigger purpose and to definitely prioritize our spiritual health and well being.
Thank you so much again for your fun, spiritual fun presence, your wisdom, your work, and everything else in between that could be felt. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you so much, Valeria. It's been a pleasure. I loved our conversation and connection. So again, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Where can we find more information about you, your work, services, and future projects?
Awesome. So I have a free gift for your listeners. It's called the Emerging Leaders Quick Start Guide. It has a 3-part free video series, which just goes deeper into what we talked about, knowing your sweet spot, giving yourself permission to dream big, and really starting with yourself. It's like know thyself and lead. So they can grab that 3-part video series on my website at caseyrossi.com/guide.
Wonderful. I'll have that link on your podcast profile too. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds wonderful.
Bye for now, Casey.
Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Casey Rossi and her work, please visit caseyrossi.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.